A father returns to his village. His wife and children are gone. In their place a pile of severed hands. This wasn't war. This was business. And if you didn't meet your quota, you paid in flesh. Subscribe now, because what happened next was erased from every history book for over 100 years. The Congo Free State. 76 times the size of Belgium. One man owned it all. Not a country, a private property. King Leopold II convinced the world he was bringing civilization to Africa. The reality? He was building the largest slave empire in history. Leopold never set foot in Congo. He ruled from Brussels, sending agents to extract wealth. He told Europe he was ending the slave trade. Documents prove the opposite. His private army, the Force Publique, became Africa's most brutal occupying force. Then came the bicycle craze. Europe needed rubber. Congo had wild rubber vines throughout its forests. Leopold saw infinite wealth. But rubber required human hands to harvest. Millions of hands. Free hands. Enslaved hands. The rubber terror had begun. Every village received impossible quotas. Bring this much rubber by month's end, or face consequences. Men were forced into forests for weeks. Women and children were held hostage. No food until quotas were met. Starvation became the first weapon of control. Soldiers were given bullets. Each bullet had to be accounted for. If you fired your weapon, you needed proof of death. The proof? A human hand. Soon, agents demanded baskets of hands as evidence that quotas were being enforced. But soldiers also used bullets for hunting. To hide wasted ammunition, they took hands from the living. Children who didn't work fast enough. Adults who tried to resist. Entire communities were mutilated to meet bullet quotas. Photographs document thousands of victims. For 15 years, the world didn't know. Leopold controlled all information leaving Congo. He hired journalists to write about his humanitarian work. He funded false reports about schools and hospitals. The truth was locked in the jungle. Then came the witnesses. Missionaries. Traders. Steamship captains. People who saw the horror firsthand. Edmund Morel, a British shipping clerk, noticed something strange. Ships to Congo carried only guns and chains. Ships from Congo carried ivory and rubber. Where were the trade goods? Missionaries smuggled photographs out of Congo. Images of children with amputated hands. Villages burned to ash. Bodies everywhere. Alice Harris photographed a father staring at his daughter's severed limbs. These images shocked the world. Proof Leopold couldn't suppress. Congolese people never stopped fighting. They formed resistance movements. Sabotaged rubber collection. Fled into deep forests. But they were outgunned. Force Publique had modern rifles. Villagers had spears. For every soldier killed, entire villages were massacred in revenge. How many died? Conservative estimates, 10 million people. Half of Congo's population. Gone in 23 years. Some historians say 15 million. We'll never know exactly. Leopold destroyed most records before handing Congo to Belgium in 1908. In 1908, as international pressure mounted, Leopold ordered his agents to burn everything. Files. Correspondence. Financial records. Eyewitness testimonies. Warehouses of evidence went up in flames. His final act was destroying proof of his crimes. But he couldn't burn every photograph. Every survivor's memory. Leopold died one of Europe's richest men. He built palaces. Monuments. Entire resorts on the French Riviera. All funded by Congolese blood. Today, these buildings still stand in Belgium. Beautiful architecture. Built on millions of corpses. Tourists visit. Few know the truth. Belgium took control in 1908. They promised reforms. The exploitation continued for another 50 years under different names. Colonial rule. Civilizing mission. Development. The words changed. The extraction didn't. Congo finally gained independence in 1960. But the damage was permanent. For decades, Belgian schools didn't teach this history. Leopold was portrayed as a builder king. A philanthropist. The Congo genocide wasn't mentioned. It took until the 1990s for Belgium to begin acknowledging the truth. Even now, many Belgians don't know. Statues of Leopold still stand in Brussels. Some have been vandalized with red paint. Protesters demand their removal. The debate continues. Should monuments to genocidal leaders remain? Belgium struggles with this question. Meanwhile, Congo still recovers from wounds inflicted over a century ago. This genocide killed more people than the Rwandan genocide. More than the Cambodian genocide. Yet it's barely taught globally. Why? Colonial powers wrote the history books. They decided what to remember and what to forget. Congo was meant to be forgotten. That ends now. Descendants of survivors still live in Congo. They carry stories passed down through generations. Stories textbooks omitted. Their grandparents remember. Their great-grandparents lived it. These oral histories preserve what Leopold tried to erase. Memory is resistance. Truth is justice, even when delayed. 10 million voices were silenced. But their story survives. Every share of this video fights historical erasure. Every comment adds to the record. Subscribe to learn the histories they don't teach. The truth doesn't fade because textbooks ignore it. It waits. And today, you remembered. Never forget.